Before start this video, please subscribe my channel and click on bell icon. Thanks.
There were always epidemics of one disease or another going around, such as tuberculosis, scarlet fever, whooping cough, and cholera, among others. Yet, in complete contrast, great British inventions and innovations were leading the Victorians right out the front door of the Industrial Revolution and into the beyond. Yet at the same time, technology was still rather primitive, and the sciences of the day had a lot of work to do, but it wouldn't be long before they'd get there. Related, 10 gruesome and shocking facts about Victorian surgery. 10 Please don't lick the wallpaper, it'll kill ya. The truth about arsenic in the Victorian era Victorian fashion reigned supreme at the time, with many magazines offering glimpses of the what-to-wear clothing for both men and women, highlighting many styles and colors like yellows, blues, reds, and greens. The problem is, the attention these green products were getting wasn't just bad, it was dreadful, and to learn that it was a staple of the British press is somewhat disturbing. Apparently, people weren't paying attention to the gruesome reports of thousands of horrible deaths being attributed to products dyed green in their local newspapers. Speaking of paper, shades of brilliant green wallpaper were made wildly popular after Queen Victoria covered the walls of every room in Buckingham Palace with it. All you had to do was breathe in a room papered and carpeted with the arsenic-laden products, and you'd be inhaling large amounts of arsenic-laden dust. This is one reason why the popular wallpaper killed so many thousands of people. Mothers would have to stop their toddlers from eating pieces of wallpaper that chipped off after time due to Sheely's green dye being so unstable. After a thorough investigation, Sheely's green dye was banned from use entirely, and Queen Victoria quickly had every scrap of it removed from Buckingham Palace. For the first time, Victorians had a room all their own to do their private business in. Before, bathtubs were filled with hot water either in the kitchen or in front of a roaring fireplace, so privacy was an issue and incentive for devising something akin to a lavatory. After its invention, the gas bath was the most important item in the Victorian home. They were made from most likely cast iron and connected to a gas line that led to a burner underneath the tub. Plumbing was still in its infancy, so the sewage systems of Victorian Age homes weren't quite up to snuff. They didn't have adequate vacuum to draw the waste away, which meant methane could build up inside the house. This gas, produced from decomposing human waste products, is highly flammable and can detonate when the correct air-to-methane ratio is achieved. Then all it took was a spark, and it's all over, but the crying. 2. 8. The lighting was brutal. They burned gas lights. How we erased darkness from the night. A major improvement during Victorian times was the use of gas to light homes and businesses. However, it was still dangerous to use gas for lighting, especially since the thought of adding mercaptan to it so that it could be smelled when there's a leak hadn't been thought of yet. The Victorians used two different types of gas: natural gas, similar to that we use today, and gas derived from coal. The problem with coal gas was that it was chemically lethal, containing highly flammable methane, hydrogen, noxious and toxic sulfur, and deadly carbon monoxide. So not only could it burn your house down or blow it to smithereens, but it could also poison or suffocate you with carbon monoxide. Still, they should have never introduced it to interior paint for residential use. Back in Victorian times, people didn't know how dangerous and toxic this soft and heavy element was. And since the owners of lead mines needed more uses for their product, it was introduced into a wide variety of household items, from paints to wallpaper and even children's toys. Unfortunately, these products were painted their pretty eye-pleasing colors with lead-based paint, a lethal combination for Victorian babies, who, as all parents know, put everything in their mouths. The biggest problem with using lead-based paint on toys for kids is that lead has a sweet taste, which encourages youngsters to suck on a toy due to its taste. It can sometimes lead to a condition called pica, which is dangerous for any child. Eventually, the British government could see from the newspaper reports on the mysterious deaths of children that something was terribly wrong. 4. 6. You could break your neck doing that. Housing first became a major problem during the Victorian era, when officials realized they needed more places for the growing population to live. They also had to be taller and steeper than in most builds, due to how they were built to save space. Stairs that led to the lowest apartments in a building would be the steepest and were made from the cheapest wood that could be bought. Some staircases were both excessively steep and made from inferior materials, without handrails. It was so bad that thousands of Victorians met their demise by taking a deadly dive down a flight of steep stairs. As could be expected, the most common injury the victims suffered from was a broken neck. To date, thousands of people in Britain are still dying to get down the stairs, those same stairs from the Victorian era, by the thousands. 5. Your wife's vanity could kill you. The plastic revolution, celluloid in Victorian England. Your wife's vanity could kill the entire family without her doing a thing wrong, except buying something she didn't know would kill her family and herself. This is the sad truth about an invention called Parks sign in 1862. Alexander Parks, a British inventor, came up with Parks sign to fill the void for a product that was both durable and able to be molded into any shape. And he succeeded, kind of. Parks sign, a precursor to plastic, soon to become known as celluloid, has a really nasty habit. It was so volatile that it would spontaneously burst into flames. First, she could head out and buy some camphor-laden toothpaste, guaranteed to whiten her smile. Never mind that swallowing spirits of camphor could kill a person, she just has to make doubly sure to spit. A Victorian lady could also go out and get that latest color of eyeshadow, or eye powder, as they insisted it was, since only ladies of the night wore eyeshadow. After all, her brand was made from natural ingredients, like mercury, lead, and crushed cochineal beetles. They must not have been aware of the fact that belladonna is derived from deadly nightshade, called deadly for a purpose, because it is. And if a girl needed to lose weight? Simple. She could just swallow some live tapeworm larvae. They did come jar-packed, you know. She'd starve with a 4-course meal sitting right in front of her and 5-foot-long tapeworms in her bowels eating her to death. If a woman in Victorian England went too crazy with beauty products, the only thing that would end up looking good was her corpse at her funeral. 7. Laudanum, the Victorians' aspirin. Beloved Queen Victoria was a drug user? Since the stuff was so bitter to the taste, it was often flavored with a variable menagerie of things to make it taste better, such as honey, spices, whiskey, wine, brandy, chloroform, ether, hashish, and even mercury. Being so highly addictive, people became dependent on it quickly since it was the only cure-all on the market that actually seemed to work. It was advertised to cure so much. In addition, it was an era of epidemics, and diarrhea and dysentery were a part of life. Victorians had plenty of ailments to cure with laudanum. Since it was so easily attainable, people overdosed on it quite frequently. 8. Mom went shopping, so someone has to die. A deep dive into the deadly world of Victorian patent medicine. More deadly items were brought into the Victorian household than were ever in it before the residents moved in, bathrooms, vanities, and staircases aside. In the 1880s, women could go to do their shopping and come home with goodies such as small candies made with potassium chlorate. Although not lethal, antimony can cause problems with the stomach, lungs, and heart. A mother could also bring home some Mrs. Wilmslow's soothing syrup for her baby. It probably worked well for her and stopped her croupy baby from crying in just a few minutes. It also knocked the little one out like a light just as fast, especially since this soothing syrup contained morphine. If a woman's in a cleaning mood, she might bring home some house cleaning powders containing carbolic acid, which, if ingested, could be fatal. It came in packages almost identical to many food items, so it could easily be used by mistake. She was judged by society on how many had survived. In 1861, a book written by Isabella Beeton entitled Mrs. Beeton's Household Management came out, a very popular how-to guide on how to run a Victorian household. In the book, Beeton invested 2 chapters on babies and their proper care. The book instructed young mothers on how best to breastfeed, recommending drinking beer in not so moderate amounts, and what to do if unable to breastfeed. This obviously sent sales of baby bottles through the roof, so there had to be tens, if not hundreds of millions of them in Britain. Sadly, for both the babies and their mothers, many thousands of them didn't stand a chance and died with nobody knowing why. 10. Fact checked by Darcy Heikkinen. Thanks for watching. Credits to listverse.com. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.